we started with a task force which prepared a draft RP 2021 with 2001 as the base map. Then we sent it to all the panchayat municipalities. Probably first time in the country such an exercise was undertaken. Subsequently, we received more than 8,000 individual complaints in addition to the recommendations from the village panchayats, recommendations from village committees, and it went, lots of deliberations was done, and ultimately we went on releasing two talukas, and ultimately we released last 4 talukas, Salset, Bardes, Marmugao and Kiswari. With that completed the entire regional plan. There are lots of highlights of this plan. I admit there could be some errors, there could be some, because ultimately we have prepared village panchayat plans of 189 panchayats. It is extremely difficult to satisfy each and every demand of each panchayat. There are bound to be differences, there are bound to be difference of opinions. In fact, road widths criticism which we are facing is probably because we have tried to become more transparent. MDRs of 25 meters were notified in 1977 by the government by a gazette notification. Eco-sensitive zones first time were earmarked. Eco 1, Eco 2, that is another highlight of this plan. Lots of settlement areas which were zoned at that time in 2001 were marked as settlement. I don't know, actually it may work out to lakhs or crores of square meters of land which were falling in eco-sensitive have been removed from that plan. And these are lots of, there are many highlights of this type. 86 panchayats have submitted requests for rectifications. 13 panchayats have given one-line recommendation that plan should be scrapped. And some panchayats said they would like to come and meet and discuss some more modalities. So my request, I said we will interact with all the main important editors and main key persons so that you also can actually see if you have anything in the mind, you can also ask and can get clarified, because this is one plan which has really been done with lots of deliberation.
Uttaraj has not given me what happened on that comment. Question is, why this lack of transparency? If everything is straightforward, then put up the objections and suggestions on the net or give it to us. There is no transparency. Then all the suspicions come.
This is a draft stage. I think the final stage will have 2 more columns.
No, but why didn't you give it?
We will give that.
Okay.
We can put it on website also, not an issue.
No, but it has not been done. Why?
Our website is not developed. That is the only problem.
There's no transparency from communication, but that's a habit he picked up in the government, and you know what the government's like. I'm ashamed of it. I can't say it. I don't work for the government myself. I wouldn't do it.
One of the issues which was raised was the huge land which has been brought into the focus. That is, it was said that in Lotli itself, 90 hectares, 300 hectares, and Salset it has been 900 hectares.
Verna is the central industrial estate and it has picked up the most. The reason being it's central to Goa, it's close to the airport and close to the port. There's an existing infrastructure there. And we felt that a marginal increase in Verna industrial estate will only help that industrial estate, because every 10 years you can't, each major industry comes, it has ancillaries. If the ancillaries move very far, it becomes very difficult for them to work. So it's only a synergy that's created. So as far as Verna is concerned, there's hardly around 5 to 10% of increase in the area that we have allowed. That essentially because there's an existing infrastructure there. The other that we are talking about, yes, we mentioned to you that along the new belt, which we are looking at a new growth corridor, there have been industrial estates or industrial areas, not estates, industrial areas marked there. And as I explained earlier, that it is because when the mining comes down, so on and so forth, that there is an alternate employment. And in the next 10 years, goal, as I've said, we have almost a lakh and a half people outside there. Should we get them back here? So let's have some work for them.
What kind of economic development are you envisaging, and what are the specific plans?
What has happened is that NH4 coming in would bring all this traffic right through Goa. So the suggestion came up of bifurcating it, the bypass. The bypass goes very close to the villages which have been devastated. So it's a chance for rehabilitation of those villages, bringing in new social infrastructure, new jobs, new investment. It could be a major thrust of the government, sir, for the next few years, to bring back, that could be the growth corridor, because that combined with doubling the railway tracks. So that means there's a real structural plan to Goa. Otherwise, Goa has just developed without any particular thing. People just went to the beaches. But this would change it. But it would take a major policy statement and direction from the government to say, this is the industry or the work which those people in those villages can be trained to do, and to which they can earn a livelihood, and we put in the schools. We owe it to them from the way they've been devastated, and be a wonderful thing to do, so from every point of view. And in the process, you could do the landscaping back of those colonies, etc. And it would be a huge thing for Goa.
How confident are you that this 2021 plan can actually,
No.
come
I'm
into
not very
effect?
confident, no, and I think the way people have reacted, and I think what a vested interest are certainly putting up a lot of things. I don't know, it's up to the people of Goa. For God's sake, you can make a plan, you can try and do your best, all of us, but there has to be the political will to begin with, there has to be the imagination, and there has to be the demand from the public that we want this level of commitment and of imagination, political. If that isn't forthcoming, yes, you'll be left with nothing. But I think it's nothing.
The fear is just like what happened in Donapala on the IT habitats, where real estate has come in.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen to this? Your intentions may be good, but
no. In fact, I wanted to say what Rahul described there. The first things there was stopping the supply by cutting down FAR. If that's all we do,
the prices go up.
Prices go up. You have to hit a demand. You have to stop that demand. The best way is non-occupation. High tax, non-occupancy tax. Secondly, if I buy a flat and rent it out for profit but don't use it, I should pay a high tax of that, but whatever I earn. People immediately, it would kill the market. Otherwise, Goa, there's not enough land in Goa for the extra money floating around Bombay alone. Forget about Delhi. There's no way, and there's ugly things they put up, destroy the landscape. So these two things of stopping the demand and the supply would bring Goa back to normal.
How do you account for the extent and the depth of public anger and resentment against the plan? The point is you can't pin it down to self-interest and vested interest when the whole angst is spread all over Goa. The issue is that if there is so much of opposition coming from village to village to village, and everybody is asking for either revision or scrapping and so on and so forth, shouldn't one take that into account and actually address it?
I think a lot of the issues, one is of course has been roads, because it talks about demolishing people's houses and compound walls, and
which is not what we said.
And also introducing mega projects. They say everything above 6 meters will introduce a mega project, but there are other ways to address mega projects here. So I would feel 90% of the angst is against roads basically. The rest is genuine mistakes or areas that may be in the plan that need to be addressed. In my own village, I give the example where people say 80% of the plan is wrong, even after helping them prepare it. Because there were these little changes that took place in the plan. And we solved them over 2 meetings of the thing. And so the plan which they said you must de-notify at one point of time, within a couple of meetings with the village panchayat and the people, was solved. So I think it's very small issues. People are very possessive about their villages. They get extremely heated up about it, but do not really come down to grassroots and numbers and sort of number that.
Let's focus on one of India's finest planners, Professor Edgar Ribeiro. Do you all collectively agree that he's one of India's finest planners? I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Now, Professor Ribeiro. Now the issue is, the point is, of late he has written a strong five-page letter to the government, stating exactly why he feels that the plan is completely flawed. We're not getting into the merit of what he says.
He didn't say that. He didn't say it's completely flawed at all. He liked RPG21 completely. He was part of it.
Well, I've got the letter. I'll give it to you.
He says RPG21
Okay, but
is flawed.
he talks about how the draft RPG was absolutely fine,
Yes.
but how the RPG21 is absolutely flawed. I'll give you the letter. I've got it.
I've got it.
Yeah. Okay. Now the issue is, okay, he's talked of denotification. He's talked of the fact that the RPG21 is a huge deviation from the draft RPG21 and so on and so forth. And he's of course spoken of broad issues where you all have completely diverted. The point here is, I mean, since this has come from somebody of his stature, doesn't the SLC feel that he should at least acknowledge this letter and give its response to the public? Because this letter is in public domain.
Why better than that, we'll get Edgar here and ask him to defend why he says those things. Because he ends with a sentence which he himself has withdrawn, his last sentence. Just read it out.
For this, RPG21 has to be legally denotified.
And he said he didn't say that. So who got him to sign that? I don't know. He should explain that. He has come out in public and said, I didn't say that. I don't want that.
Look,
isn't that true?
You're talking of the last line.
I'm talking about the last. It's very important because those letters.
I'm talking of the first line.
Those letters are written by several people. Always, you know what goes on.
But he signed it.
All right, we'll get him here. And shall we call a meeting with Edgar? We'll do that. Any day you want. I'd like to.
For your information, I was instrumental in getting Edgar right in the beginning. Both Edgar and Charles. In fact, when I met Edgar and when I met Charles, they had expressed their reservations right in the beginning. They were not interested. They said, we don't want to come. I pleaded with Edgar and I pleaded with Charles because he is also very busy man. He doesn't get time. Edgar also, I went 2-3 times to his house in Delhi. And that's how I tried to get him here. I have not paid them anything. Charles, I have not paid 1 naya paisa. He doesn't charge me anything except that we bear his ticket, that's all. It is out of love for Goa that he undertook this work. I know how, I've been to his office, I know how busy he is, where he travels many times. But still he said, I must contribute something for Goa. And it is with that intention, he had put me only one condition, that day there is a political pressure, I will quit.
He mentions that ecotourism is our invention. Ecotourism, that's why I stress on the point that it has come because it came from the Gram Sabha. So we wanted to protect. I said that the check and balance have to be kept, and that's why we worked on it. MIZ, which he says is a settlement level plan, he's not against MIZ. He said it should be done at settlement level. What we said is it is something that Goa needs immediately. People find it difficult to get jobs to work. If we have done that and we have exceeded our brief, so be it. But it's in the interest of Goa. And tell me anything that we have said there, which probably Edgar objects to, is not in interest of Goa. It may have not been in draft, but that's why it's a draft. We heard people, understood their aspirations and thought of introducing something. Is that wrong?
Could you comment on what you just heard Rahul say? What do you feel about the plan? I just be curious.
The one thing that I think the government should do is go ahead with the plan, because if you don't go ahead with the plan, you're going to go back to 2001, and you need to go ahead and sort out these issues immediately, because otherwise you've wasted everybody's time and then nothing is going forward, nothing is being implemented.
The 2001 plan was never denotified as such. 2011 was definitely denotified. Now there is a demand for scrapping the plan or denotifying the plan. If the demand increases and if the plan is denotified, is it that 2001 comes back into force? Because from the information what we procured for our channel, there was a settlement area when the draft plan was prepared, almost settlement area was 42,952 hectares, out of which the SLC, that is what that documents say, that they removed almost 7,617 hectares, which comes to something like 7 crores 61 lakh square meters of land, which was removed, which was, and they put it in green zone, maybe orchard, maybe forest, maybe green fields, and eco-sensitive or whatever. Okay, so if this plan is denotified, then all this area which they have already removed from it, it becomes settlement.
Yes, you have to go back to 2001 plan. There is only one notified plan which remains, that is 2001, where again you go back to FAR 1 and 80.
Yeah, so you go back to whatever
no,
we have
but
done.
legally.
So that is what we had said, that yes, rectification, whatever. Now for example, 84 panchayats have submitted their plans. They have suggested that some rectification should be undertaken. We are open for rectification. For that purpose, there is no need of denotifying the plan. That is what.
Is your cabinet with you on this? That's the question. 1 minute. Is your cabinet with you on this? That's the question. Because there is, I think the entire cabinet is divided completely here.